Hello there, and welcome to the Science for Sleep channel. Tonight we'll explore life itself, a story that began nearly 4 billion years ago in the ancient oceans and never once stopped. Every creature that has ever breathed, every forest that has ever grown, every heartbeat that has ever sounded is part of this one long, unbroken thread. You've got nothing to do but rest. Let your mind grow still, your breathing slow, and your body sink gently into the quiet. If this helps you sleep, consider liking and subscribing, one sleepy soul at a time. Now let's begin with life. Every single living thing on Earth, from the tiniest bacterium to the largest whale, shares the same chemical language. That language is written in DNA, a long twisted molecule shaped like a spiral staircase. The letters of this code are always the same 4 chemical pieces, no matter what creature you are looking at. A rose, a frog, a mushroom, and you all use the exact same alphabet to write the instructions for life. This means that all living things on this planet are, in a very deep way, related to one another. We all came from the same ancient beginning, billions of years ago. The fact that a bacterium and a human being speak the same molecular language is one of the most quietly astonishing things science has ever discovered. Life did not invent itself many separate times with many different systems. It invented itself once, and then it spread and changed and filled every corner of the world. That one beginning still lives inside every cell of your body right now. You might think of yourself as one single person, but your body is actually home to an enormous crowd of tiny living things. Trillions of bacteria live inside you, mostly in your stomach and intestines, and they outnumber your own human cells. These tiny guests are not dangerous strangers. They are essential partners that help you digest food, protect you from illness, and even influence how you feel emotionally. Scientists have discovered that the bacteria in your gut can send signals to your brain, affecting your mood and your sleep. Without these invisible companions, you would not be able to survive. Every person carries a slightly different community of microbes, as unique as a fingerprint. Some of these bacteria have lived alongside humans for so long that they can no longer survive outside a human body. They need you just as much as you need them. Right now, as you rest quietly, this entire invisible world inside you is gently going about its work. Inside every single one of your cells, there is a complete set of instructions for building an entire human being. Not just a piece of a person, but the whole thing, from head to toe, from the color of your eyes to the shape of your hands. These instructions are written along the DNA molecule, and they contain about 3 billion letters. If you printed all that information from just one cell, it would fill thousands of books. Every time a cell divides to make a new cell, it copies all of those instructions perfectly, almost without a single mistake. Your body does this billions of times throughout your life. The process is so precise and so quiet that you never feel it happening. Somewhere in your body right now, cells are dividing, copying, and passing those ancient instructions forward. It is one of the most careful and patient processes in all of nature, happening continuously, softly, without interruption, in the darkness inside you. Life on Earth began at a time when this planet looked nothing like it does today. There was no breathable air, no green forests, no blue sky the way we know it. The oceans were warm and full of strange chemicals, and volcanoes erupted constantly across the surface. Yet somehow, in that harsh and alien world, tiny molecules began to organize themselves into something remarkable. About 3.8 billion years ago, the first simple living cells appeared in those ancient seas. They had no eyes, no legs, no thoughts. They were just tiny bags of chemistry, eating minerals and releasing gases. But they were alive, and they were the beginning of everything. Every creature that has ever walked, swum, flown, or crawled on this planet descended from those first invisible pioneers. When you look at a tree, an insect, or your own hand, you are looking at the result of nearly 4 billion years of unbroken life. Sharks are one of the oldest creatures on Earth, and their history is longer than you might ever imagine. They were already swimming through the oceans about 450 million years ago. To put that in perspective, the first trees on land appeared roughly 350 to 385 million years ago. That means sharks were exploring the seas for tens of millions of years before a single tree ever grew on this planet. They survived every mass extinction, every ice age, every dramatic change the Earth went through. Their basic design proved so effective that nature barely changed it over all that time. The sharks alive today are the living descendants of creatures that watched the first forests grow from the water's edge. They have outlasted dinosaurs, witnessed entire continents drift apart, and endured changes that wiped out most other species. There is something deeply calming about that kind of quiet, patient persistence. Most people think of the largest living creature as an elephant, a whale, or perhaps a giant tree. But the true record holder is something most people have never seen because it lives mostly underground. In a forest in the state of Oregon in the United States, a single honey fungus has spread its network of thread-like roots through the soil across more than 8 square kilometers. Scientists estimate it is at least 2,400 years old, and possibly much older. It looks from above like an ordinary patch of forest floor, covered in leaves and soil. But beneath the surface, one single organism silently connects it all. This fungus feeds by breaking down wood and organic matter, slowly and quietly recycling the forest. It is a reminder that the largest and oldest things on Earth are not always the most visible. Sometimes the most extraordinary life is the one growing quietly beneath your feet, patient and unhurried, in the dark. There is a tiny creature so tough that scientists sometimes call it nearly indestructible. The tardigrade, also known as the water bear, is smaller than a grain of sand and lives in moss, soil, and water all over the world. When conditions become impossible, such as extreme heat, freezing cold, total dryness, or even the vacuum of outer space, the tardigrade does something remarkable. It pulls in all its legs, expels nearly all the water from its body, and enters a state called cryptobiosis, a kind of deep, suspended stillness. In this state, it does not eat, does not breathe, and does not age. It simply waits. It can stay like this for decades. When water returns, it slowly wakes up and continues its life as if nothing happened. Scientists have sent tardigrades into space on satellites and found them alive upon return. In this quiet little creature, life demonstrates one of its most persistent qualities, the ability to wait. The heart of a hummingbird is one of the most extraordinary engines in all of nature. This tiny bird, often no heavier than a large coin, beats its heart up to 1/200 times every single minute while flying. To hover in midair, a hummingbird beats its wings about 50 to 80 times per second, and its metabolism runs so fast that it must eat almost constantly to survive. If a human being had a metabolism as fast as a hummingbird, we would need to eat dozens of full meals every day. At rest, a hummingbird's heart slows considerably, and on cold nights it enters a state called torpor, a kind of mini hibernation where its heartbeat drops dramatically to save energy. Every morning it wakes from this tiny sleep, warms itself back to life, and begins again. There is something gentle and wonderful about a creature that burns so brightly and yet has learned so well how to rest. The earthworm is a quiet and humble creature, easy to overlook on a rainy morning. But inside that small, soft body, there are 5 structures that all function as hearts. These 5 aortic arches pump blood through the worm's simple but effective circulatory system, keeping it alive as it moves through the soil. The earthworm has no eyes, no ears, and no lungs. It breathes through its skin, absorbing oxygen directly from the moist earth around it. As it tunnels through the ground, it eats dead plant material and leaves behind rich, fertile waste that nourishes the soil. Farmers have known for centuries that land full of earthworms grows better crops. Charles Darwin spent years studying them and called them one of the most important creatures on Earth. For all their smallness and silence, earthworms help feed the world. They've been doing this slow and steady work for hundreds of millions of years, beneath every field, every garden, and every forest floor. Beneath a forest, something extraordinary and invisible is happening. The roots of trees are wrapped in a fine web of fungal threads. And through this network, trees exchange water, carbon, sugars, and chemical signals with one another. Scientists call this the mycorrhizal network, but many people have given it a warmer name, the Wood Wide Web. A large mother tree at the center of a forest can send nutrients through this underground web to smaller, younger trees that are not getting enough light. When a tree is sick or dying, it sometimes releases its remaining sugars into the network, as if offering a final gift to its neighbors. Trees of the same species seem to favor their own relatives in these exchanges, feeding their own seedlings preferentially. This quiet, underground conversation has been going on for hundreds of millions of years. Long before the internet existed, the forest had already built its own. Dolphins are among the most socially intelligent creatures on the planet, and one of the things that makes them remarkable is something very close to what humans call a name. Each dolphin develops its own unique whistle shortly after birth, a sound pattern that belongs to that individual alone. Other dolphins learn this whistle and use it to call that specific dolphin, much the way you would call a friend by their name across a room. They remember the whistles of dolphins they have not seen in years. In large groups, they use these signature calls to stay connected, to find one another, and to maintain the social bonds that are central to their lives. Researchers have recorded dolphins repeating the whistles of others, as if calling out to them across the water. This kind of individual recognition, based on a self-created sound identity, is extraordinarily rare in the animal kingdom. It suggests that dolphins have a sense of individual identity, a quiet awareness of self that most creatures never develop. Inside every cell in your body, coiled and folded with extraordinary care, is a thread of DNA that stretches about 2 meters long, if unraveled completely. That is taller than most people. Yet this 2-meter thread is packed so neatly inside a space so small that you cannot see it without a powerful microscope. The folding is not random. Special proteins wind the DNA into tight coils, then coil those coils again, folding everything down into a tiny, dense package called a chromosome. Your cells do this for all 46 of your chromosomes, fitting an almost unbelievable length of information into an invisibly small space. If you unraveled all the DNA from all the cells in your body and laid it end to end, it would stretch from Earth to the Sun and back many times over. All of that folded patiently, silently in the dark interior of your body, holding the story of who you are and where you came from. The octopus is one of the strangest and most quietly magnificent creatures in the sea. It has 3 hearts working at the same time. 2 of them pump blood to the gills, where it picks up oxygen, and the third pumps that oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. The blood itself is blue, not red, because instead of iron, it uses a copper-based molecule to carry oxygen. When an octopus swims actively, its main heart actually stops beating temporarily, which is why octopuses prefer to crawl rather than swim for long distances. They tire easily from sustained swimming, but in everything else they are remarkably capable. They solve puzzles, open jars, recognize individual human faces, and find their way through mazes. Their intelligence is distributed, with most of their neurons living in their arms rather than in their central brain. Each arm, in a quiet sense, thinks for itself. Among all the mysteries of the living world, few are as gently astonishing as the immortal jellyfish. Most creatures follow a single direction through life. They are born, they grow, they age, and they die. But one small species of jellyfish, known as Turritopsis dohrnii, can reverse that journey. When it becomes old, sick, or injured, it can revert its cells back to an earlier state and begin its entire life cycle again from the beginning. It becomes young once more. Scientists call this process transdifferentiation, in which mature cells transform into entirely different types of cells. In theory, this process has no limit, meaning this tiny creature could cycle through life and youth indefinitely. It drifts through warm ocean waters, no larger than a fingernail, quietly defying one of the most fundamental rules of biology. It does not seek immortality. It simply continues, softly, again and again, carried by the current. Every breath you take is a quiet exchange that connects you to every other living thing on Earth. Plants do something that seems like the reverse of breathing. They take in carbon dioxide, the gas that animals breathe out, and they use sunlight to turn it into sugar for food. As a result, they release oxygen, the very gas that you need to stay alive. This process is called photosynthesis, and it happens in tiny green structures inside plant cells called chloroplasts. These chloroplasts are thought to have once been independent bacteria, swallowed by a larger cell billions of years ago, and never released. They stayed inside, generation after generation, and became a permanent part of plant life. Every green leaf you have ever seen is a solar-powered factory, quietly working in the light, producing the air you breathe. Trees, grasses, algae, mosses, all of them together maintain the atmosphere that makes your life possible. A honeybee queen is one of the most quietly extraordinary beings in the natural world. She begins life as an ordinary egg, identical to any worker bee egg. What makes her different is simply what she is fed as a larva. She receives royal jelly, a rich substance produced by worker bees, and this changes her development completely. She grows larger, her reproductive organs develop fully, and her lifespan extends dramatically. While a worker bee lives for only a few weeks in summer, a queen can live for 4 to 5 years. During that time, she can lay up to 2,000 eggs in a single day, never stopping, maintaining the entire population of her hive. She communicates with her colony through chemical signals called pheromones, guiding the behavior of thousands of bees without speaking a single word. The hive breathes around her like a single living thing, and she is its quiet, steady center. Of all the surprising things science has revealed about life on Earth, one of the most gently humbling is this. You share about 60% of your DNA with a banana. Not 60% of your behaviors or your appearance, but the actual chemical instructions inside your cells. This is because bananas and humans, despite being so completely different, both share very ancient biological machinery. The genes that control basic cell functions, like how cells divide, how they produce energy, and how they repair themselves, are so fundamental to life that evolution has barely changed them across billions of years. A banana does not need to think or breathe or move, but its cells still need to manage energy, copy DNA, and maintain their structure. Those shared instructions go back to a common ancestor so ancient that it lived before animals, and plants had even separated into different branches of life. In this way, even a fruit on a table carries a distant echo of you. The blue whale is the largest animal ever known to have existed on Earth, larger even than any dinosaur that ever walked the land. Its heart alone is roughly the size of a small car, weighing about 180 kilograms. This enormous heart beats incredibly slowly, sometimes as few as 2 times per minute when the whale is diving deep beneath the surface. In calmer, shallow waters, it beats between 4 and 8 times per minute. The sound of that heartbeat can be detected by instruments more than 3 kilometers away. The whale's aorta, the main blood vessel leading from the heart, is wide enough that a small child could crawl through it. Everything about this creature operates on a scale almost beyond imagination, yet it moves through the ocean with extraordinary grace and silence. It feeds almost entirely on tiny shrimp-like creatures called krill, consuming several tons of them each day with slow, sweeping movements of its vast and gentle mouth. A dog's nose is one of the most sophisticated sensing instruments in the natural world. While humans have about 6 million scent receptors in their noses, a dog has up to 300 million. The part of a dog's brain that processes smell is proportionally about 40 times larger than the same region in a human brain. But what makes a dog's nose truly remarkable is its structure. Dogs have 2 separate air passages in their nostrils. One passage is for breathing, drawing air down into the lungs. The other is dedicated entirely to smelling, directing scent molecules to specialized receptor cells where they are analyzed with extraordinary detail. Dogs can detect certain diseases in humans, track a single scent across many kilometers, and distinguish individual people by smell alone. They can even detect changes in a person's emotional state through the subtle chemical shifts in sweat and breath. In a world mostly perceived through sight and sound, the dog lives in an invisible landscape of scent. The octopus has already appeared in these pages, but the story of color changing in the animal kingdom deserves its own quiet moment of wonder. Octopuses can shift the color and texture of their entire skin in less than 1 second, producing patterns of extraordinary complexity to match rocks, sand, coral, or any surface around them. The remarkable thing is that most octopuses are colorblind. Their eyes cannot distinguish between different colors the way human eyes can. Yet somehow they produce perfectly colored camouflage that fools predators with color vision, far more advanced than their own. Scientists believe they may sense light directly through their skin, using light-sensitive proteins spread across the surface of their bodies. Their skin may see what their eyes cannot. They move silently across the ocean floor, becoming invisible not through hiding, but through transformation, shifting their very surface to match the world around them, then moving on, leaving no trace at all. The giant sequoia is one of the most quietly magnificent living things on this planet. These trees can grow taller than a 30-story building and live for more than 3,000 years. A single sequoia can weigh more than 1,000,000 kilograms, making it the largest living thing by volume ever measured on land. Yet it begins as a seed, so small it could sit comfortably on the tip of your finger. Inside that tiny seed, everything needed to become a giant is already written and waiting. Sequoias need fire to reproduce. Their cones can hang on the tree for 20 years, sealed shut, releasing their seeds only when the heat of a forest fire opens them and clears the ground below. What destroys so much of the forest actually gives these trees their moment to begin. There is something deeply peaceful in that idea, that renewal can come from the very thing that seemed most threatening, and that patience across decades and centuries is simply part of the plan. Ants have no manager, no supervisor, and no central leader giving instructions. A colony of millions of ants builds complex cities, tends underground farms, manages waste, raises young, and defends territory, all without anyone in charge. Each ant follows a small set of simple chemical signals, responding to smells left by other ants and adjusting its behavior accordingly. From these simple local interactions, enormously complex collective behavior emerges. This phenomenon is called swarm intelligence, and scientists study it to better understand everything from traffic systems to the internet. The queen ant does not give orders. She only lays eggs. The intelligence of the colony lives not in any individual ant, but in the connections between them all. If you remove 1,000 ants from a colony, the remaining ants adjust seamlessly and continue. The colony functions almost like a single breathing organism, distributed across thousands of tiny bodies, each one doing its small quiet part without needing to understand the whole. Your skin is the largest organ in your body, and it is never quite the same skin for very long. The outermost layer of your skin is made of cells that are constantly dying and being replaced by new ones pushing up from below. The entire outer surface of your skin renews itself roughly every 27 days. Over the course of your life, you will shed tens of kilograms of skin in total, an almost invisible constant snowfall of microscopic flakes that drift away as you move through your days. Dust in a sunlit room is partly made of shed human skin. The new skin cells that replace them form in the deeper layers, slowly moving upward over weeks until they reach the surface, flatten, harden, and are eventually released. This quiet, continuous renewal protects you every moment from bacteria, ultraviolet light, heat, and physical damage. Your body never announces it, never pauses for it. It simply continues, layer by layer, renewing you without interruption. Corvids, the family of birds that includes crows, ravens, and jays, are among the most cognitively remarkable animals on Earth. Crows in particular have demonstrated something that surprises many people. They remember human faces. Studies have shown that crows can recognize individual people and distinguish between someone who has treated them well and someone who has threatened or harmed them. They have been observed holding grudges for years, scolding and dive-bombing specific individuals they remember as dangerous. while remaining calm around others. They also appear to share this information with their flockmates, teaching other crows to distrust particular people they have never personally encountered. Crows use tools, solve multi-step puzzles, plan for the future, and even appear to play. Their brains, though structured very differently from mammal brains, produce a level of flexible, creative intelligence that rivals that of great apes. In a bird small enough to fit in your hands, something is happening that we are only beginning to understand. Laughter might seem like a uniquely human thing, a spontaneous burst of joy shared with people we love. But science has found it in places you might not expect. When rats are gently tickled by human hands, they trust. They produce ultrasonic chirps at a frequency too high for human ears to detect without instruments. These sounds are consistent with what scientists describe as rat laughter. The rats seek out the tickling, approaching the hand that tickled them and asking, in their own way, for more. They also emit these sounds during play with other rats. Researchers have found that rats who laugh more tend to be more optimistic in their behavior, choosing hopeful options in tests more readily than rats that vocalize less. Joy, or something closely resembling it, is not a luxury invented by human civilization. It appears to be written into the biology of social mammals, a reward the nervous system offers for connection, play, and gentle touch. The air you are breathing right now was made possible by living things. Every molecule of oxygen in Earth's atmosphere was produced by photosynthesis, the process by which plants, algae, and certain bacteria capture sunlight and release oxygen as a byproduct. Before life existed, Earth's atmosphere contained almost no free oxygen at all. It was full of nitrogen, carbon dioxide, methane, and other gases. About 2.4 billion years ago, a type of bacteria called cyanobacteria began producing oxygen in such enormous quantities that it fundamentally transformed the entire planet. This event, known as the Great Oxidation Event, caused a mass extinction of organisms that could not tolerate oxygen, but it also made possible all complex life that followed, including every animal that has ever breathed. The air filling your lungs right now is a gift from ancient bacteria, passed forward across billions of years, made fresh again each day by every green leaf still catching the light. The bamboo plant holds one of the most extraordinary and mysterious reproductive cycles in the plant kingdom. Most species of bamboo spend their entire lives growing quietly, spreading slowly, never flowering at all. Then, after anywhere from 40 to 120 years, something remarkable happens. Every individual plant of that species, no matter where in the world it is growing, flowers simultaneously. All of them, at the same time, across entire continents. After flowering and producing seeds, the plants die. The forest of bamboo that took a century to grow disappears almost overnight. Scientists are not entirely certain what internal clock drives this behavior, but it appears to be encoded in the plant's genetics, counting time from the moment of germination. The seeds that survive then begin the next 100-year cycle. For the giant pandas that depend on bamboo forests for food, this synchronized dying can cause serious hardship. But for the bamboo, it is simply the completion of an unimaginably patient and beautiful plan. The nervous system of an octopus is unlike any other in the animal kingdom. An octopus has a central brain located between its eyes, but about 2/3 of all its neurons are not in that brain at all. They are distributed throughout its 8 arms, with each arm containing hundreds of thousands of nerve cells of its own. This means that each arm can taste, touch, and respond to its environment largely on its own, without waiting for instructions from the central brain. If an octopus arm is separated from the body, it will continue to respond to stimuli and attempt to pass food toward where the mouth would have been, for up to an hour. The arm does not know the body is gone. It simply continues doing what it knows. The octopus brain does not micromanage. It sets intentions and lets the arms interpret and execute them with remarkable independence. It is a kind of intelligence that is spread across the body like a quiet network, each part aware, each part listening.
The migration of monarch butterflies is one of the most breathtaking journeys in the living world. Each autumn, Hundreds of millions of these delicate orange and black butterflies travel up to 4,000 kilometers from Canada and the United States to specific mountain forests in central Mexico, where they gather in trees so densely that the branches bend under their weight. What makes this extraordinary is that no single butterfly makes the round trip. The generation that flies south in autumn has never been to Mexico before. Their great-grandparents were the last ones to make that journey. Yet they navigate precisely to the same forests, sometimes to the same trees. Scientists believe they use a combination of the sun's position, the Earth's magnetic field, and an internal clock to find their way. Something in their cells carries the map. The knowledge of where to go is written not in memory or experience, but in the quiet language of their genes. The human brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons, and each of those neurons can form connections with thousands of others. The total number of connections in a single human brain is estimated to be around 100 trillion. That number is greater than the estimated number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Each time you learn something new, some of those connections strengthen. Each time you sleep, your brain replays the events of the day, reinforcing what mattered and quietly releasing what did not. The brain also uses sleep to clear away waste products that accumulate during waking hours, flushing them out through a system that becomes most active during deep rest. Right now, as you grow still and your eyes grow heavy, your brain is beginning that gentle work. The connections are settling. The day is being filed away softly. Something vast and intricate inside you is preparing, without any effort on your part, to rest.
Every single breath you take delivers oxygen to your blood because of a molecule called hemoglobin, and that molecule exists because of iron. The iron inside your hemoglobin is the same element found in rocks, in soil, and in the cores of distant planets. Your body contains roughly 3 to 4 grams of iron in total, enough to make a small nail. This iron came originally from ancient stars that exploded billions of years ago, scattering heavy elements across the galaxy. When our solar system formed from that scattered dust, some of that iron became part of the Earth, and eventually, through food and water and millions of years of evolution, part of you. Every time your heart pumps blood through your body, it is moving iron that was forged in a dying star. You carry the remnants of stellar explosions quietly in your veins, and they keep you alive with every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of rest. Sea turtles are among the most ancient navigators on Earth, and their relationship with the place they were born is one of the most touching examples of memory in the animal kingdom. After hatching on a beach and crawling into the ocean, a sea turtle spends decades swimming through vast open waters, sometimes traveling across entire ocean basins. Then, when the time comes to lay her own eggs, the female returns to the exact beach where she was born. Not just the same coastline, but often the same stretch of sand, within a few kilometers of her hatching spot. Scientists believe they imprint on the magnetic signature of their birth beach as hatchlings, encoding it like a coordinate into their nervous system. Decades later, that memory guides them home across thousands of kilometers of featureless ocean. There is something profoundly quiet and beautiful in the idea of a creature carrying the memory of its very first moments all the way through its long and wandering life. Humpback whales are composers. Each breeding season, the males sing long, complex songs that can last for hours without repetition. These songs travel enormous distances through the ocean, sometimes hundreds of kilometers, carried by deep water channels that act like natural amplifiers. What makes humpback songs especially remarkable is that they change over time. Researchers tracking whale populations have found that new phrases and patterns appear in the songs, spread from whale to whale across entire ocean regions, and gradually replace the old ones, like a musical trend moving through a population. Within a few years, an entirely new song replaces the one before it. No one teaches a central version. The whales listen to one another, borrow phrases they find appealing, and slowly the collective song transforms. It is one of the clearest examples of cultural transmission in a non-human animal. a population of creatures sharing and evolving an artistic tradition across the open sea. A single oak tree can support an astonishing community of life. Studies of mature oak trees in the United Kingdom have found that a single tree can provide habitat for more than 500 different species of insects, fungi, mosses, lichens, birds, and mammals. The oak does not merely tolerate this community, it actively sustains it. Its leaves feed caterpillars, which feed birds. Its bark hosts beetles, which create holes that become homes for owls and small mammals. Its acorns feed deer, squirrels, and jays. Its roots connect with fungal networks that extend its reach through the soil. Even a fallen, dead oak continues to support hundreds of species as it slowly decomposes, feeding the soil that will nourish the next generation of trees. The oak does not try to do any of this. It simply grows, slowly and steadily, over hundreds of years, and life gathers around it the way warmth gathers around a quiet fire. Your heart has been beating since before you were born, and it will beat without a single conscious thought from you for your entire life. It begins beating in a developing embryo at around 3 to 4 weeks after conception, long before the brain is developed enough to control it. The heart has its own electrical system, a cluster of cells called the sinoatrial node that generates rhythmic impulses entirely on its own. Even if you removed a heart from the body and kept it supplied with nutrients and oxygen, it would continue to beat. Heart cells cultured in a laboratory dish will begin beating spontaneously when they grow close enough to touch one another. They synchronize their rhythm without being told to. Two separate beating cells, brought near each other, will gradually align their pulses until they beat as one. This quiet synchronization, this tendency of living things to find a shared rhythm when they come close, is one of the most gently beautiful things in all of biology. Many plants appear still and passive, rooted in one place, simply waiting for sun and rain. But inside, they are running a remarkably precise internal clock. Plants can measure the length of the day with extraordinary accuracy, detecting the subtle shift in light that signals the changing seasons. This ability, called photoperiodism, tells them when to flower, when to drop their leaves, and when to prepare for winter. Some plants will only flower when nights reach a certain length, waiting patiently for exactly the right moment, even if temperature and rain are already perfect. Others track the daily rhythm so precisely that their flowers open and close at the same time each day, so reliably that the botanist Carl Linnaeus designed a garden clock using flowers that opened at different hours. Plants cannot move, cannot speak, and cannot plan in the way animals do, but they measure time with a patience and precision that is quietly extraordinary, marking every hour of every season without fail. The blue-ringed octopus is no larger than a golf ball, and it drifts quietly across the sandy floors of tide pools and shallow reefs in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. It is one of the most venomous creatures on Earth. Its venom contains tetrodotoxin, a neurotoxin so powerful that there is no known antidote. A single bite can be fatal to a human within minutes. Yet this tiny creature rarely uses its venom aggressively. It prefers to hide, to camouflage, to move away. The iridescent blue rings that give it its name only appear as a warning when it feels threatened, flashing rapidly against its pale skin like small electric lights. In its natural state, resting quietly among rocks and algae, it is almost invisible. It is a reminder that the most extraordinary power in nature is not always on display. Sometimes the most remarkable things are also the quietest, the most patient, the most content, simply to be left in peace. Sleep is not a pause in life. It is one of life's most active and essential processes. During sleep, the body repairs damaged tissues, releases growth hormones, consolidates memories, and strengthens the immune system. The brain, rather than resting, shifts into a different mode of intense internal activity. During deep sleep, cerebrospinal fluid pulses through the brain in waves, washing away toxic proteins that accumulate during waking hours, including proteins associated with neurodegenerative diseases. During the dreaming phase, the brain replays and reorganizes the experiences of the day, strengthening important connections and quietly dissolving ones that are no longer needed. Animals across the entire animal kingdom sleep, from the simplest insects to the most complex mammals. Even jellyfish, which have no brain at all, have been observed entering rest states with reduced responsiveness that resemble sleep. Life discovered long ago that the time spent still and quiet is not time wasted. It is time spent becoming. Seeds are among the most patient living things on Earth. A seed is essentially life paused, a complete set of instructions and a small supply of energy enclosed in a protective coat and set to wait. Some seeds are remarkably good at waiting. Lotus seeds discovered in a dry lake bed in China were successfully germinated after lying dormant for approximately 300 years. Seeds of the Judean date palm, found in an archaeological site near the Dead Sea, were germinated after being stored for more than 2,000 years. In the permafrost of Siberia, seeds of the narrow-leafed campion plant were found in ancient squirrel burrows and successfully grown into living plants after approximately 32,000 years of frozen dormancy. Life, in seed form, simply holds itself still and waits for the right conditions with a patience that makes human timescales feel very small. Every garden and every forest begins with that same quiet act of waiting. The electric eel is one of nature's most startling examples of biological engineering. Despite its name, it is not actually an eel, but a type of knife fish, and about 80% of its body is composed of specialized electric organs. These organs contain stacked electrocyte cells that function like biological batteries, each producing a small electrical charge. When discharged together, they can generate pulses of up to 860 volts, enough to stun a horse or incapacitate a human. Electric eels use these pulses in multiple ways: to stun prey, to defend against predators, and to navigate and communicate in the murky river waters of the Amazon basin, where visibility is almost zero. They also use weak, continuous electrical fields to sense the world around them, detecting the tiny electrical signatures of other living bodies nearby. They are essentially living radar systems, reading the invisible electrical landscape of the water around them. In the darkness of the river, they move and hunt and find one another entirely by electricity. The sunflower is one of the most recognizable plants on Earth, and it holds a gentle secret in the way it moves. Young sunflowers track the sun across the sky throughout the day, facing east in the morning and slowly turning to face west by evening. During the night, they rotate back to face east again, ready for the next sunrise. This movement is called heliotropism, and it is driven by uneven growth on opposite sides of the stem, one side growing faster than the other depending on where the light is coming from. As the plant matures and the stem hardens, the movement stops and the flower remains permanently facing east. This turns out to be useful even then, because an east-facing flower warms up faster in the morning, attracting more pollinators early in the day. The sunflower does not think about any of this. It simply grows toward the light, and in doing so, it finds everything it needs. Starfish, more properly called sea stars, are among the most quietly astonishing creatures in the ocean when it comes to regeneration. Most species can regrow a lost arm completely, producing an exact replacement over the course of several months. But some species can do something even more remarkable. If the body of a sea star is cut in a way that leaves enough of the central disc attached to a single arm, that arm alone can regenerate an entirely new body. From one arm, a complete new animal grows. Some species can even regenerate from a fragment of an arm if it contains a portion of the central ring. This means that in some cases, what begins as one animal being cut in two can eventually become two complete animals. The sea star does not resist this process or struggle against it. It simply, slowly, and with absolute patience, grows back what was lost, taking all the time it needs, undisturbed by the depth of the sea around it. Butterflies undergo one of the most dramatic transformations in all of nature, but what happens inside the chrysalis is even stranger than most people realize. When a caterpillar seals itself inside, it does not simply sprout wings and rearrange its existing body. In many species, the caterpillar essentially dissolves. Its body breaks down into a rich biological soup, a collection of cells and nutrients that has surrendered its previous form almost entirely. Within that liquid, clusters of cells called imaginal discs, which were present in the caterpillar all along but dormant, suddenly activate and begin building the butterfly from the raw material available. Eyes, wings, legs, antennae, all constructed from what was once a crawling creature. And yet, remarkably, studies have shown that butterflies can remember things learned as caterpillars. The memory survives the dissolution. Something essential persists through the complete unmaking and remaking of a living body, quiet and continuous as breathing. The human body produces somewhere between 2 and 5 million red blood cells every single second. These cells are manufactured in the bone marrow, the soft tissue found deep inside your largest bones, and each one has a lifespan of roughly 120 days before it is broken down and recycled. Each red blood cell makes approximately 100,000 trips around the body during its short life, delivering oxygen to tissues and carrying carbon dioxide away. Red blood cells are so specialized for this task that they eject their own nucleus before entering the bloodstream, making more room for the hemoglobin molecules that carry oxygen. They become, in a sense, living containers, defined entirely by their function. Your bone marrow has been quietly doing this work since before you were born, producing millions of cells every second without pause, maintaining a vast internal fleet of carriers that keeps every part of you supplied with the one thing it cannot go without. Trees in a forest are far older in their communities than they appear. When you look at a stand of trees, you are seeing only the above-ground portion of a relationship that extends far deeper in time and space. Many forest trees are connected through fungal networks in the soil, sharing water, carbon, and chemical messages through a web that can span hectares. Within these networks, older trees, sometimes called mother trees by scientists, maintain connections with hundreds of younger trees around them. When a mother tree is injured or dying, it has been observed releasing large pulses of carbon and nutrients into the network, apparently distributing its remaining resources to its neighbors. Young trees grown in the shade, without enough light to photosynthesize fully, receive supplemental carbon from connected adults through the soil. The forest is not a collection of competing individuals. It is, in many ways, a single extended community, sharing resources across generations in a kind of deep, unhurried generosity. The migration of Arctic terns is the longest journey made by any known animal on Earth. These small seabirds, weighing no more than 100 grams, travel from their breeding grounds in the Arctic to the Antarctic and back again every year, covering a distance of approximately 70 to 90,000 kilometers in a single round trip. Over the course of a lifetime, which can span 30 years, an Arctic tern may travel the equivalent of 3 trips to the moon and back. They follow a winding route that takes advantage of global wind patterns, maximizing tailwinds and minimizing effort across their extraordinary journey. They experience more daylight than any other creature on Earth, chasing summer from pole to pole. They do all of this with a brain smaller than your thumbnail, guided by something encoded so deeply in their biology that no learning or teaching is required. They simply know the way, as they have always known it, and they go. The immune system is perhaps the most sophisticated defense network that evolution has ever produced. It operates on multiple levels simultaneously, with different types of cells performing specialized roles in identifying, remembering, and destroying threats. When a pathogen enters your body, certain immune cells engulf and analyze it, then present pieces of it to other cells that produce precisely tailored antibodies designed to neutralize that specific threat. Some of those cells become memory cells, persisting in your body for decades, ready to respond instantly if that same pathogen appears again. This is the biological basis of immunity, and it is why a disease that once made you very ill may never affect you seriously again. Vaccines work by introducing a harmless version of a pathogen, triggering this same learning process without causing illness. Your immune system is not a wall. It is a living, learning, remembering army, quietly patrolling every corner of your body while you sleep. Cephalopods, the group that includes octopuses, squid, and cuttlefish, evolved their remarkable intelligence entirely separately from vertebrates like fish, birds, and mammals. The last common ancestor shared by an octopus and a human lived more than 500 million years ago, and it was an extremely simple creature with no complex nervous system at all. Yet octopuses and their relatives developed sophisticated problem-solving, spatial memory, tool use, and even what appears to be playful behavior, completely independently of the evolutionary line that produced human intelligence. This means that complex intelligence arose at least twice in the history of life on Earth, through entirely different pathways, in entirely different body plans. Scientists call this convergent evolution, when separate lineages independently arrive at similar solutions to the challenges of survival. The octopus did not inherit its cleverness from a shared ancestor. It invented a version of intelligence all on its own, in the cold and quiet of the deep sea. The process by which a single fertilized cell becomes a complete human being, with trillions of specialized cells arranged in precise structures, remains one of the most quietly staggering phenomena in all of science. That first cell divides into 2, then 4, then 8, and so on. But as the cells multiply, they begin to receive different chemical signals depending on where they are located in the growing cluster. These signals switch certain genes on and off, gradually guiding each cell toward a specific identity. A cell that might have become anything slowly commits to becoming a neuron, or a heart muscle cell, or a cell in the lens of an eye. This process, called differentiation, unfolds over 9 months with a precision and coordination that no human engineering has ever come close to replicating. Every organ, every tissue, every structure in your body was shaped by this invisible chemical conversation, spoken between cells so small you could fit thousands of them on the head of a pin. Bioluminescence, the production of light by living organisms, is far more common in nature than most people realize. In the deep ocean, where sunlight never reaches, it is estimated that more than 75% of all living creatures produce their own light. Anglerfish dangle glowing lures to attract prey in total darkness. Fireflies use precisely coded flashes to find mates on warm summer evenings. Certain species of fungi glow softly green in the forest at night. Deep-sea jellyfish pulse with blue and green light as they drift through the blackness. Even some sharks produce patterns of bioluminescent light on their undersides, visible only to other members of their species. Life discovered how to make light through chemistry, without heat, without fire, without electricity. A cold and living glow produced inside living cells. On a moonless night over a tropical ocean, the surface of the water can shimmer with the bioluminescence of billions of microscopic organisms, turning the sea itself into a quiet, breathing light. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen filling your lungs right now have all existed for billions of years before you were born. The atoms that make up your body were not created when you were born. They were already ancient. Carbon atoms in your body may have once been part of a dinosaur, a fern from the Carboniferous period, or a reef that formed before complex life existed on land. Water molecules you drank today may have passed through the roots of trees that no longer exist, through rivers that have long since changed their course, through clouds over continents that have drifted to entirely different positions on the globe. Your body is not a permanent structure. It is a temporary arrangement of ancient materials, borrowed from the earth for the duration of your life and eventually returned. You are the universe organizing itself for a brief and remarkable time into something that can breathe and feel and rest. Every flower that has ever bloomed was speaking a language you cannot fully hear. Flowers produce colors, patterns, and scents that are specifically shaped by millions of years of communication with their pollinators. Many flowers have ultraviolet markings on their petals that are completely invisible to human eyes, but appear as vivid guides to bees, pointing the way to the center of the flower like a landing strip. Some flowers mimic the smell of rotting meat to attract certain flies. Others produce heat in their centers to reward visiting insects. Some orchids have evolved to look and smell so much like female insects that male insects attempt to mate with them. accidentally collecting pollen in the process. Every petal shape, every scent molecule, every drop of nectar is a message refined over countless generations. A garden in full bloom is not simply beautiful to human eyes. It is a conversation of extraordinary complexity, happening all around us in frequencies we can barely begin to perceive. The axolotl is a small aquatic salamander native to a single lake system near Mexico City, and it possesses one of the most extraordinary biological abilities ever documented. Unlike most amphibians, the axolotl never fully undergoes metamorphosis. It retains its juvenile features throughout its entire life, including its external feathery gills, which it keeps even as a fully sexually mature adult. This condition is called neoteny. But what makes the axolotl truly remarkable is its capacity for regeneration. It can regrow not just lost limbs, but portions of its heart, sections of its spinal cord, parts of its eye, and even portions of its brain, with full restoration of function. Scientists have been studying axolotl regeneration for decades, hoping to understand the mechanisms well enough to apply them to human medicine. The axolotl does all of this quietly in the cool, dark water, rebuilding itself with a biological patience that medicine is only beginning to learn from. Trees do not grow evenly throughout the year. They grow in pulses, laying down distinct layers of tissue during the growing season and slowing or stopping entirely during winter. These layers accumulate as rings inside the trunk, one for each year of the tree's life. By examining these rings, scientists can read the tree's entire history. A wide ring indicates a year of abundant rain and sunlight. A narrow ring marks a year of drought or cold. A dark, discolored ring may record a forest fire that scorched but did not kill the tree. The oldest living trees, like the bristlecone pines of California and Nevada, have ring records stretching back more than 5,000 years. By overlapping ring patterns from living and dead trees, scientists have constructed climate records going back tens of thousands of years. Every tree is a library. Its rings are pages written not in words, but in the language of water, light, cold, heat, and time. The process of photosynthesis, by which plants convert sunlight into food, is so fundamental to life on Earth that it is difficult to overstate its importance. But the mechanism at the heart of it is quietly extraordinary. Inside the chloroplasts of plant cells, a protein complex called photosystem II strips electrons from water molecules using the energy of sunlight. This splitting of water releases oxygen as a byproduct, the oxygen that fills Earth's atmosphere and that you are breathing right now. The electrons then travel through a series of proteins, releasing energy at each step until that energy is stored in chemical form that the plant uses to build sugars from carbon dioxide. This entire process happens at the molecular scale, in structures so small that millions of them fit inside a single leaf cell, running continuously in every green surface exposed to light. The quiet hum of a sunlit garden is, at the molecular level, one of the most industrious and life-sustaining processes on the planet. Migratory birds navigate across hemispheres using a remarkable variety of tools that evolution has embedded directly into their biology. They use the position of the sun during the day and the pattern of stars at night as celestial maps. They detect the Earth's magnetic field through specialized structures in their eyes and beaks, sensing direction and latitude with a precision that rivals electronic instruments. Some species can also smell their way home, detecting subtle chemical gradients in the air that correspond to specific geographic locations. Bar-tailed godwits fly non-stop from Alaska to New Zealand, a journey of more than 11,000 kilometers over the open Pacific Ocean, without landing once, surviving entirely on fat reserves built up before departure. They shrink their digestive organs before the flight to save weight, then rebuild them upon arrival. Every autumn and spring, billions of birds across the planet rise into the air and follow invisible maps written in their bodies, crossing oceans and continents in one of nature's most breathtaking expressions of instinct and endurance. The human body emits a very faint light that is completely invisible to the naked eye. This glow, sometimes called biophoton emission, is produced as a byproduct of metabolic chemical reactions taking place continuously inside cells. It is approximately 1,000 times weaker than the threshold of human vision, but sensitive instruments can detect it. The light fluctuates throughout the day, with emissions varying across different parts of the body and changing with the body's metabolic rhythms. The face tends to glow more brightly than other areas, possibly because of higher metabolic activity in facial muscles and skin. All living organisms studied so far, from bacteria to plants to animals, appear to emit this kind of ultra-weak light. It is not warmth, not heat radiation, but actual visible spectrum light produced by living chemistry. Every living thing on Earth is, in the most literal and quiet sense, glowing. You have been glowing your entire life, softly, without knowing it. The Amazon rainforest is home to an estimated 10% of all species on Earth, and it functions as far more than a collection of plants and animals. It is a living system that generates its own weather. Trees in the Amazon absorb water through their roots and release it as vapor through their leaves, a process called transpiration. This moisture rises into the atmosphere and forms clouds that eventually produce rainfall, not just over the rainforest itself, but over vast regions of South America that depend on that rainfall for agriculture and drinking water. Scientists call these moisture pathways flying rivers, and they carry more water than the Amazon River itself. The forest, in this way, is not merely a passive feature of the landscape. It is an active participant in the climate, generating the rain that sustains it and everything around it. The trees breathe water into the sky, and the sky returns it as rain, a cycle of extraordinary cooperation between the living and the atmospheric. Coral reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, yet they support approximately 25% of all marine species on Earth. A coral reef appears to be made of rock, but it is actually built by living animals. Each coral polyp is a tiny creature related to sea anemones and jellyfish, and it secretes a hard calcium carbonate skeleton around its soft body. Millions of polyps growing together over centuries construct the vast and intricate structures of a reef. Inside the tissues of each coral polyp live microscopic algae called zooxanthellae, which perform photosynthesis and provide the coral with most of its energy in exchange for shelter. This partnership between animal and photosynthetic algae is one of the most important symbiotic relationships in the ocean. When water temperatures rise too high, the algae are expelled, leaving the coral bleached and vulnerable. Coral reefs are among the oldest, most diverse, and most delicate communities of life on the planet, built grain by grain, polyp by polyp, over thousands of years of patient, collective construction. The bond between a mother and her newborn, in mammals, is driven in part by a molecule called oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone. When a mother holds her baby, when skin meets skin and eyes meet eyes, oxytocin is released in both their brains, deepening the sense of connection, calm, and safety. The same molecule is released during physical touch between friends, during moments of trust and cooperation between strangers, and even between humans and dogs who make eye contact. Oxytocin reduces the stress response, lowers blood pressure, and promotes feelings of warmth and belonging. It appears to be one of the biological foundations of social life itself, a chemical reward that the nervous system offers for closeness and connection. Every warm embrace, every moment of genuine human contact, every quiet evening spent in the company of someone you trust is accompanied by this invisible chemistry flowing gently through you, reminding your body that you are not alone, that you are safe, and that rest is possible. Every living thing on Earth shares a common ancestor. If you trace any two species back far enough through time, their family trees will eventually meet at a single point. The common ancestor of humans and mushrooms lived more than 1 billion years ago. The common ancestor of humans and oak trees lived even further back. The common ancestor of all life on Earth, a single microscopic organism scientists sometimes call LUCA, the last universal common ancestor, lived approximately 3.5 to 3.8 billion years ago in the ancient ocean. It was not the first living thing, but it was the one from which all surviving lineages descend. Every bacterium, every fern, every whale, every sleeping person breathing quietly in the dark tonight, carries within their cells the legacy of that one ancient beginning. Life on Earth is not a collection of separate inventions. It is one continuous story, branching endlessly, but rooted in a single, shared, and extraordinary origin. The cells of your body do not live in isolation. They communicate constantly, sending and receiving thousands of chemical signals every second, coordinating their behavior with a precision that no human technology has replicated. When a cell is damaged beyond repair, it receives signals that instruct it to dismantle itself quietly, in an orderly process called apoptosis, or programmed cell death. This is not a failure. It is an essential act of cooperation. A cell that refuses to die when it should is one of the defining features of cancer. In a healthy body, roughly 50 to 70 billion cells go through apoptosis every single day, making room for new cells, removing damaged ones, and maintaining the integrity of every tissue and organ. Your body is in a constant state of quiet self-renewal, releasing what no longer serves it and building what comes next. Every day, in billions of invisible acts, your body chooses to continue. The wood frog of North America performs one of the most extraordinary feats of survival in the animal kingdom. When winter arrives and temperatures drop below freezing, this small frog does something that would kill almost any other vertebrate animal. It allows its body to freeze solid. Its heart stops beating. Its blood stops flowing. Its brain ceases all activity. Ice crystals form between its cells, and it lies motionless under the leaf litter, frozen through and through, appearing entirely dead. It can remain in this state for weeks or even months. Then, as temperatures rise in spring, its heart restarts, its blood flows again, and it thaws back into full life within hours. The frog survives this because it floods its cells with glucose before freezing, acting as a biological antifreeze that protects cells from being destroyed by ice. It does not fight winter. It simply becomes still, surrenders to the cold, and waits with absolute patience for warmth to return. The elephant is widely known for its remarkable memory, and science has confirmed that this reputation is well-deserved. Elephants can remember specific individuals, both other elephants and humans, for decades. They recognize the calls of family members they have not seen in years. They remember the locations of water sources across vast territories, knowledge passed down from older matriarchs to younger generations over long migrations. When an elephant encounters the bones of a deceased family member, it often pauses, touches the bones gently with its trunk, and stands quietly for extended periods in what researchers describe as behavior consistent with mourning. Elephants grieve. They comfort distressed members of their group with touch and soft vocalizations. They cooperate to help calves in difficulty, sometimes enlisting the help of the entire herd. In the way they remember, mourn, comfort, and teach, elephants reflect a depth of inner life that makes the boundary between their emotional experience and our own feel very thin. Life exists in places on Earth that seem completely hostile to it, and these discoveries have quietly expanded our understanding of what living means. In the boiling water around deep-sea hydrothermal vents, where no sunlight has ever reached, and temperatures exceed 300 degrees Celsius, entire ecosystems thrive on chemical energy rather than sunlight. In the frozen ice of Antarctica, bacteria live within the ice itself, surviving in thin liquid films between ice crystals. In the hyperacid pools of volcanic craters, in the saturated salt flats of desert lakes, in the deepest ocean trenches under crushing pressure, life has found a way. These organisms, called extremophiles, have shown that the conditions we once considered necessary for life are merely the conditions we are most familiar with. Life does not require comfort. It requires only chemistry, time, and the quiet persistence that has characterized it since the very beginning, in every corner of this remarkable planet. A single teaspoon of healthy soil contains more living organisms than there are people on Earth. The soil beneath a forest or a meadow is one of the most densely populated habitats on the planet, filled with bacteria, fungi, protozoa, nematodes, mites, and countless other microscopic creatures interacting in a complex web of relationships. These organisms break down dead organic matter, releasing nutrients that plants absorb through their roots. They form symbiotic partnerships with plant roots, extending the plant's ability to gather water and minerals. They produce chemicals that suppress disease, regulate the chemistry of the soil, and maintain the physical structure that allows water to drain and air to circulate. Healthy soil is not dirt. It is a living community of extraordinary density and complexity, built over thousands of years and easily damaged by a single season of mismanagement. Every field that grows food, every forest that stands, every garden that blooms is resting on a foundation of teeming, invisible, essential life. The humpback whale's song travels through the ocean for hundreds of kilometers, carried by deep water channels that act as natural sound guides. But whales are not the only creatures filling the ocean with sound. The sea is alive with a constant, layered chorus of biological noise. Snapping shrimp colonies produce a continuous crackling sound, so loud it can interfere with submarine sonar. Toadfish hum, sea urchins scrape, dolphins click and whistle, fish drum. In healthy reefs, the collective biological soundscape is so rich and distinctive that fish larvae use it to navigate towards suitable reef habitats from the open ocean. Coral reef restoration scientists have even begun playing recordings of healthy reef sounds over damaged reefs, and found that more fish choose to settle there as a result. The ocean has always been full of voices. Life has been calling out across the water since long before any human ear existed to listen, filling the deep with an ancient, continuous music. The relationship between flowers and their pollinators is one of the most intricate and beautiful co-evolutionary stories in the history of life. Over millions of years, flowers and the animals that visit them have shaped each other, each one driving changes in the other through the quiet pressure of natural selection. The long curved beak of a hummingbird matches almost exactly the curve of the flowers it prefers. The tongue of a bee is precisely suited to the depth of its favored blossoms. Some flowers have evolved to open only at night, producing white petals and strong scents to attract moths in the darkness. Others have evolved flowers shaped so specifically that only a single species of bee or butterfly can enter them. This mutual shaping, this long, slow dance between species across millions of years, has produced some of the most extraordinary forms in nature. Neither partner planned it, neither partner knew. It happened simply through time, through touch, through the patient logic of survival and attraction. The human brain continues developing long after birth, and some of its most important changes happen during sleep. In the first years of life, the brain is forming new synaptic connections at an extraordinary rate, building the neural architecture that will last a lifetime. Sleep at every stage of life is essential for consolidating these connections, clearing metabolic waste, and organizing experiences into lasting memory. But sleep serves a deeper purpose that reaches beyond the individual. Dreaming, which occurs primarily during REM sleep, appears to allow the brain to process emotional experiences, rehearse social scenarios, and integrate information from across different memory systems into a more coherent understanding of the world. Animals with more complex social lives tend to spend more time in REM sleep. Your dreams are not random noise. They are, in the most literal biological sense, the sound of your brain working quietly in the dark, making sense of your life, preparing you gently for tomorrow. Breathing is so automatic that you rarely think about it, and yet it connects you to every other living thing that has ever existed on this planet. The oxygen molecules entering your lungs right now were produced by plants and algae, some of them growing today, some of them ancient organisms whose descendants still live in the oceans. The carbon dioxide you release with each exhale will be absorbed by plants, incorporated into sugars, passed into soil, breathed by other creatures across generations. Every atom and every breath is part of a cycle that has been moving continuously for billions of years, passing through bodies, through air, through soil, through water, and into bodies again. You are breathing air that ancient forests breathed. You are breathing air that will one day flow through creatures not yet born. In this moment, resting quietly, your breath is a thread in an unbroken living tapestry that stretches from the first stirring of life in the ancient ocean all the way to now, and gently, endlessly, forward